And welcome into Fantasy Baseball Camp, episode Double Deuce. But yet, that's not what gang signs Tommy was throwing up. Tommy, what are those gang signs you tossing up there?
Bofo, it's part of Ellie De La Cruz's celebration when he gets on base. Been watching a couple games of his.
Is he good or something?
I'll talk about him in a minute.
So as you hear, we've got Tommy at the camp tonight. We've also got Wesley. Wesley did not throw up any gang signs.
I did not. No.
Fishing though, and it's Under Armour fishing shirt.
The fish weren't really biting much, so I figured I'd just come in and do the podcast. Pretty hot, you know. I'm a terrible fisherman, anyways. So
it's that odor you give off. The fish can smell it. It's that body odor. So yeah, this is episode 22. We're getting ready for Fantasy Baseball Week 11. Trying to find you guys hidden gems in the what's the saying? Gems in the duh?
In the waiver wire?
Yeah, well, sure. That's not what I'm looking for, but sure. Hidden gems in the
diamonds in the rough, man. Diamonds in the rough. That's what you're looking for.
I'm so great with sayings, you know. Fool me once. Can't get fooled again. You know, talking about George Bush thing. Anyways, we'll jump right in. Tommy, you want to give us a little talk about who you love to talk about?
Yeah, this is not one of my waiver wire recommendations because on CBS he's 92% rostered. But if you're in 8% of leagues that he's not rostered, go pick him up. That'll be Ellie De La Cruz. You may have heard of him. He's kind of been all over Twitter for the last month and the last couple weeks, even more. He's kind of a phenom. He's like a cross between a Aaron Judge, a O'Neal Cruz, and something else. He's a freak. He's been in the league 3 days. He has one of the hardest hit balls. He has the fastest sprint speed. He's 96th percentile max exit velocity, so only 4% of people hit a ball harder than him after 3 days. He's kind of doing it all.
In 2 games, he has a home run, a double, and a triple.
Yep, yeah, and a stolen base. He got one today, so he's kind of a 5-tool player. He's kind of potentially going to be a first-round pick next year if he lives up to his hype. That's probably more of a roto league categories. I could see him being second or third.
You know,
because the strikeout rate.
If there was a 6th tool, he would probably have that too.
That'd be the hair, the flow.
Ask the women, maybe he does.
Yep.
He's got the looks too, man. Yeah, that's a 6th tool.
He's a freak athlete, and I'm so excited, not just for Ellie, but just for the Reds. He's part of that organization. They got a bunch of young guys who are calling up between Abbott, McLean, India's there, Ellie,
got one more.
Christian and Croshan Strand's coming up eventually. Fraley's hot. They got another prospect I forgot pitching wise. I think it's gonna be an exciting time for Reds baseball. Cincinnati fans should be excited. So
the NL Central sucks, so it's easily theirs for the taking.
Trash.
Yeah, agreed. So you can't pick him up more than likely.
You don't have to push anything.
More than likely, you cannot pick up Ellie. But I just wanted honorable mention. He's up. It's exciting. Watch the Reds baseball games.
He's worth it in redraft leagues. Like Tommy said, it does make 92% owned.
Yes.
So sell high, right, Tommy? Sell high. The hype will never be higher.
I will say this: you can sell him if you can get an equivalent top 25 player for him on a pitching, hitting across the board. I think I would not sell for anything less than that.
Would you?
Could you in a box?
Would you trade for Julio Urias?
No, not with what he's performed right now. So don't send me that.
I love to look at the waiver wires from last night, Wes. You finally picked up somebody before recommending them on the show here. Who is that you recommended or going to recommend tonight?
Well, look, I finally got done drying my eyes from the Jacob DeGrom news, as if we didn't know that was coming, you know, as if we didn't know. But so I'm going to recommend Dane Dunning because that simply means for him that he's going to have an opportunity to stick in the rotation, right? So And I know that his last outing, he gave up 4 earned runs. But I will challenge you to find a starting pitcher that hasn't given up at least 4 runs in an outing this year. I promise you, it's going to be very hard to do. So Dane Dunning is 73% rostered. Man, he's been consistent. He's been scoring, 15 to 20 points per outing. I would say there's only 2 outings, week 9, week 10, back-to-back, that he did not score that amount. So, yeah, look, he's not a guy that's going to overpower you. He's not going to get a ton of strikeouts, but he plays on a team that has the best offense in baseball. And look, in this environment, if I can have a pitcher that's going to go out, throw 6, he might give up 7 hits, strike out 4. But you know what? He has a chance to win every night because he, has a good offense. Yeah, I'm going to take Dane Dunning. I'm going to put him on my bench. We'll see if I can find a way to fit him into the rotation.
I want to make a comp for Dane Dunning. You guys let me see if you agree with this. And I'm going to go with Bryce Elder. And the reason being is none of his underlying metrics like pop off the board. He doesn't look electric. But I mean, he's 6'4", 225. He's a big boy. He limits walks. And he plays for a good team. And I'm going to put him out there while he's performing, but I'm not necessarily super excited about doing it. And that's how I feel about Bryce Elder too. Agreed? Disagree?
Yeah, I would say that's a great comp. They're both guys that are 92 to 94. They got some sink, some run, definitely control type guys. But yeah, I love that comp.
Yeah,
I think it's a good pickup. I echo everything you said. He's pitched well, and until he proved otherwise, I think you roster him.
And he's got the offense behind him, so he's going to get offense and defense, really. He's got the team.
And the thing we keep saying about Bryce Elder, right, is I don't know what makes him good, but whatever it is, he's the best in the league at it. And I feel like I could say the same thing about Dane Dunning. I don't know what makes him good. Nothing about his stuff really impresses me, but man, for whatever reason, he gets outs and that gets points. So I'm in.
Yeah, he does face the Angels in Toronto next week, so not favorable matchups. Or one or the other. I don't know who he's lined up against, but he faces one or the other. So I don't know about next week. But Wes said, you just say grab him for the bench because he's stuck in the rotation. Yeah, he's got the good matchup. He's probably a good start. Speaking of guys to face with good starts, Julio Teheran is pitching against Oakland this weekend, and then he pitches against Pittsburgh. So if you're listening to this on Friday and you have a daily league for Saturday, Julio Teheran's probably a good pick. The guy is pitching well. He has, in 3 starts, has a 1.56 ERA, 10 strikeouts in 17 innings, and only 2 walks. A whip under 1. Hey, ride it while it's hot until he gives up 4 earned runs. Ain't that right?
Yeah, I feel like streamers are, for whatever reason, that's just what's working this year, man.
That's what's working for Danielson.
Yeah.
That's all he's been doing. And look what it's gotten him. So Julio Teheran, while he's hot and then has favorable matchups, watch how he pitches against Oakland this weekend. It should be a decent outing for the guy. And then he lines up to pitch against Pittsburgh the following week for week 11. So that's my recommendation for next week. Tommy, let's move right into your pick, actual recommendation.
Yeah, not Ellie, because you're not going to be able to get him, like I said. I think it's no surprise here. If you listen to the podcast long enough, you know that I'm a Red Sox fan. But I think I'm gonna ask the Cincinnati Reds fans to dub me an honorary member. Maybe my National League team. I've been hyping them up this last week, the week before, and I'm going to continue that train. Last week I went Matt McClain and Ben Lively, not Blake Lively. Talked about Ellie De La Cruz. This time I'm going to go with Andrew Abbott, another Cincinnati Red pitcher. This is like the underground world or something. Last week. No, Lively is what I talked about last week. Okay. Because you corrected me because I said Blake.
Yeah.
Maybe offline we talked about him. So let me read you what Ben Lively did it again.
There you go.
Andrew Abbott in 2023 minor leagues, he had a 15K per 9 and a 0.92 whip combined. Now temper your expectations because he was playing in AA with the sticky ball, the pre-tack ball, and he had 20.7 K per nine. Just ridiculous. And then in seven games in AAA when he called up and out the pre-tack ball, he had just short under 13 K per nine. Still fantastic. A one whip. So he wasn't as dominant, but it's anything you could hope for in a player. So he was fantastic. The Reds finally called him up. He made his debut against the Dodgers. No, the
Brewers. Yeah.
And he went 6 innings, 1 hit, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. I think I watched that start. He got squeezed a couple times. I'm sure he was a little nervous and shaky. He missed a couple up in the zone a couple times. So I'm going to attribute that to nerves and shakiness. There's about as good of a stat line you could hope for. I don't think he's going to be that every time out. I think the strikeouts are going to be there. I think he's going to hit a little bit more. They let him go 105 pitches in debut, so I'm not worried about that. I think he's going to get quality starts. He'll go deep as long as he's pitching well. And I think for all those reasons with his pedigree and what he did his debut, I'd recommend him as my waiver wire ad.
Man, could the Reds use some reliable pitching?
Yeah,
They've got the offense, and I think they have one of the worst starters, like ERAs, in the league.
Yeah, it's weird because they have talent all throughout their starting rotation, man. Hunter Green, Lodolo, Ashcraft.
I would take Ashcraft off that list. He's been so bad recently.
I know.
So bad.
But you can't say he's not talented, man. His stuff is really good. He's just been terrible.
He does have good stuff plus, if you measure it, but he just can't put it together.
No, none of the Red Stars can.
Tommy, how would you, if you're comparing Abbott to, let's say, a Logan Allen, or even a Tanner Bybee, even though he's a righty, where are you at on that?
I think the ceiling is higher for Abbott. Logan Allen gives a lot of hits, but he has good strikeouts. Bybee's been so-so on strikeouts, but a K per nine. That's a really good 1, 2, 3 rank, though. It's hard for me to say for sure. I want to see some more out of Abbott. I think you know what you have with Logan and Allen and Bybee. Respectable starters, solid maybe 4, 3 tops at the end of the day. They're not going to be aces. I don't think Abbott's going to be an ace, don't get me wrong, but I think he could be like an SP2 for you when he really starts to turn it on.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Ceiling versus floor for me.
He's struck a lot. He led the minors in almost every category. I agree with you. Yeah, and I'm right now. I might say Bybee, Logan Allen, Abbott, but truthfully, in a month or two, long term, I would probably say Bybee, Abbott, Logan Allen.
Yeah, Logan Allen, there's nothing about him that just pops off the page. It's kind of like a Shane Bieber, which is bad because Shane Bieber's been bad recently. But Allen's just been consistent. He's done it. He doesn't have fast stuff, but he's got good command. He doesn't walk a lot. He just gives up a lot of hits, which is weird because he strikes out a lot of people too. I don't know. I can't figure him out. He's not a typical way to I rank and do analysis on a player, but I like him. So it's a good.
I think statistical or prospect ranking wise, they would probably go Bybee, Abbott, Logan Allen. Not prospect, scouting report wise, right now.
Yeah, that's probably. Ask me again in 2 weeks, but that's probably what it is right now.
Oh, right now, Abbott, having just come up and 6 strikeouts in his first start.
Yeah,
and so.
The 105 pitches is really gets me excited because volume is huge in points leagues.
Yeah,
and he's more. He had 50 something pitches in 2 innings. So if he's efficient, he could easily go 7 innings a game. That's a big ask, but there's no reason he couldn't if they're going to let him go that long.
Yeah, that was the one thing where I was like, "Whoa, man! If they're typically MLB clubs are not going to let their young guys go 80, 90 pitches." So the fact that he went 105,
he's 24. I wouldn't call him young. He came out of Virginia.
Just because he's for a couple not years. 21.
Yeah. Well, so these guys that usually are coming up prospects, like Tom was saying, 105 is you're going to get to go deep. Usually these prospects that you're able to find off the waiver wire and try to hope for the best are being capped at 70 pitches.
Yeah.
They come out in the 4th inning and not even qualifying for the win.
He pitched
that's huge.
118 innings in 2022. And then in 2021, he pitched 106 innings for Virginia. Plus another, so about 120.
Shouldn't have much of a leash then.
Yeah,
He should be around 150, 160, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's the most. He's not going to get to 200. I think if they just let him go, anyways.
No. I could see an ending cap towards the end of the season, maybe bringing it back, save it for the playoffs. But yeah, ride it while it's good.
Yeah. I mean, right now they're in third place. It's not a tough division. The Pirates are in front of them. They're fading. The Brewers, I don't know how they could keep it up. But the Brewers are going to get pitchers back. Woodruff's going to come back, right? He's not up for
I think.
Yeah.
No, he's coming back late June, I think, like June 30th or 1st of July.
Probably All-Star break if that's the timeline. Might as well give him another week.
Yeah, I've been trying to acquire him for some time now.
All right. Wes, why don't you give us another pick?
Yeah, so my second pick is going to be a guy that hit 2 home runs last night, Joey Wiemer. So
speaking of the Brewers,
yeah, Brew Crew, man, love the Brew Crew. They
haven't really been perfect segue right there, Wes. You missed it.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about it later.
All right, Joey Wiemer.
Yeah, so Wiemer is, I mean, look, he's got the opportunity to be like a 20-20 guy, 30-30 guy. You look at his minor league stats in 21, he hit 27 home runs and stole 30 bases. 22, he hit 21 home runs and stole 31 bases. He was a 280 hitter in the minors. So, look, I expect him to be like a 250, 260 hitter in the major leagues over time. But I mean, just that combination of speed, stolen bases, and power, it's just rare to find. So in a points league, like those are your biggest opportunities to earn points, home runs, stolen bases, right? So I'm interested in that. And also to talk about Wiemer, what he's done in the last 2 weeks. So he's scored almost 50 points in the last 2 weeks. That's week 9 and week 10. He will probably eclipse that by the end of this week. But his average on May 30th was 187, and he's now at 231. So he's been on a heater lately, and he has guaranteed playtime. He is the starting center fielder for the Brewers, so he's going to play, right? There are some other guys I can recommend that might not play every day, like a Jesus Sanchez, right? Like he's really good and he's been hot, but he doesn't play against lefties. So I hate that. I want Jesus Sanchez over Wiemer, but Wiemer plays every day. So, and he's hot right now. So I'm going to ride this as long as I can.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, the Brewers had, I felt like 3 outfielding prospects. And Wiemer's the one who has proved. I think Wiemer was one that they were highest on.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you just Google Joey Wiemer, the first article that comes up is Joey Wiemer showing why he could be a star in Milwaukee. You look at his scouting report. He receives high praise as a draft prospect for his raw power potential. So right there, would you say 20 home run potential?
Yeah, he's got some 2020 potential for sure.
And I don't know.
I was going to try and show a graphic so that to make Tommy put in a waiver claim, but I can't do that. I'm going to have to send this screenshot to you, Tommy.
For Wiemer?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
All right, I'll post it on Twitter.
I'm about to get 3 outfielders in a trade. So
why would you want 3?
Oh, just wait.
I'm not giving you Julio if that's what you're.
No.
He's bending somebody over real easily.
Burns, check your inbox.
So I've got another pitcher to recommend, and this isn't necessarily a huge recommendation, but it's only because of who he's going to be facing next week. That's Taiwan Walker. He's pitching against Washington. He's in his last start. I don't have his page up anymore. How did I mess that up?
Is he a 2-start this week or next week? Is he a 2-start next week?
I don't think so. Taiwan Walker?
It might be this week.
He's not a 2-start next week.
Yeah.
Must have been this past week that he was.
Yeah.
But Taiwan Walker, just like I mentioned, how Julio Teheran, he's facing Oakland, he's facing Pittsburgh, great pitching matchups. Go ahead and give him a try. This is exactly what we're doing with Taiwan Walker. When you're just trying to find streamers, who's available on the waiver wire, I bet Taiwan Walker's there. I think he's about 71% owned. Has decent strikeout potential, has in his career, but also has the potential to blow up. That's why he's on the waiver wire and not on Wesley's team anymore.
Yeah.
Anything to add about Walker there, Wes?
Yeah, I drafted him based on what he had done in the World Baseball Classic, and he had been average to above average last year. So I guess my thought there in drafting him was like, I didn't invest much. I mean, he was my second to last pick, right? So I'm not worried about dropping him, but he plays for the Phillies. They're supposed to have a great offense, but it hasn't gone that way so far. So my thought was, hey, look, this is a guy where, in 2-start weeks, he's going to get a lot of offensive help, in good matchups. I can start him. That snowballed pretty quickly, so I dropped him. But, he doesn't present much upside, so I don't think he's a guy I'm going to keep on my roster for an extended period of time. But in a situation like this, like you're saying, like, hey, I'm going to pick him up to play the matchup. If you picked him up, it was this week 9, and he's a 2-start pitcher. If you picked him up for a 2-start week in week 9, hey man, I'm all for that. I didn't do it, but had I looked at it beforehand, I probably would have considered it.
Yeah, and then going off of, I want to do one more mention of. I talked about him as a speculative ad, I think 2 weeks ago, and that's AJ Smith-Shawver.
I don't know if we figured that one out yet.
AJ Smith-Shawver.
It's been noted that he is going to get a start this Friday, which is today, if you're listening to this on the day that we first released this episode. And it's against Washington. So see how that start goes. And the guy has strikeout potential. That's what you look for in high point starting pitchers. So I just wanted to give him as a mention. I mentioned him as a speculative ad. You could probably go ahead and add him now. As a speculative ad if you haven't already. Because he's on a good Braves team who will give you good offense behind you as long as you don't give up 8 runs to the Mets.
Yeah, I picked him up about a week ago when he went to the bullpen, and then Soroka started not doing so well. It was right before they talked about him possibly starting Saturday as a speculation in our daily league, in my Yahoo Daily League, and just kind of held on to him for a week, and it paid off. He ended up getting the Strider treatment and coming to the rotation. So hopefully,
if only got 4 more or a couple more views out of the bullpen, that would have been clutch.
Either way, as a starter, he'll be valuable. Hopefully, he's young and he can quick. We'll see what that happens.
Yeah. So Tommy, speaking of valuable, who else do you think is valuable next week?
Well, that's an interesting term you use, valuable, because it's not really the term I would use for my next recommendation. It's a position we really never talk about unless you ask Wes about Francisco Alvarez, because he's in love with that boy.
Hey, man, trash Alvarez, and he hits 3 home runs, baby. Come on.
I'm going to talk about a catcher. I didn't think I'd be talking about him, but yeah.
No, don't talk about him.
Gary Sanchez.
I was gonna do the same thing.
So I have very little faith in this recommendation, but since joining the Padres, he's done nothing but hit. Yeah, he's been good. He's got 1,000 OPS on the year, 4 home runs, 686 slug. That's for the year when he played a couple games with the Mets and he wasn't good. So he did a small sample size, 35 at bats. But there was a time in his career, like 2017, 18, 19, and he was a feared hitter. He was one of the hardest hitting players in the game, not just catchers, but players. At one point, he had a 121.1 exit velocity. That's one of the highest measured exit velocities of all time, let alone for a catcher. So if he's found his form, he's going to strike out a lot. He's not going to hit for average, but he can hit you home runs. And if he's going to play often for the Padres, it's in theory a good lineup. They haven't been so far. So I don't have a ton of faith in it, and I don't even know how long he's going to be on the Padres if he starts to slump again. But I've been pleasantly surprised with what I've seen from Gary Sanchez so far with the Padres.
Hey, ride it while it's hot, man. I mean, especially a catcher.
Yeah, that's the reason I recommend it. If he was playing first base, no, I'm not talking about him. But he's playing catcher, and odds are, if you're the 12th ranked catcher in your league and you got him, I don't have the rankers in front of me, but you can probably drop whoever you've got right now, pick up Gary Sanchez for 2 weeks while he's hot, and then go pick your guy back up again if you don't like him. I wouldn't drop JT or Kirk or Varsho or any of those guys, but if you got
you want to know
if you've got William Contreras as your catcher right now, ride Gary Sanchez.
Yeah, or like Shea Langoliers or something like that.
The 12th ranked catcher right now in points leagues is Cal Raleigh.
But he may be 12th ranked, but he's probably not 12th in points. He's been hitting surprisingly well. He's in like 4th
He's at 122.5.
That's not bad for a catcher.
That's not bad. I mean, Sean Murphy's number one.
As a fancy baseball player right now.
But like in that area, right? Like in the 11th, 12th area, you're looking at Shea Langoliers, Alejandro Kirk, MJ Melendez, William Contreras, and Cal Raleigh. All guys that are within 7 to 10 points of each other.
I'd probably drop all of those for Gary except for Cal Raleigh. I have faith in Cal Raleigh. I like him. So
yeah.
I think the biggest disappointment of those that you mentioned is William Contreras.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
He's still young. I wouldn't write him off just yet.
Yeah, and I don't know. Milwaukee's a great place to hit. They have a good lineup. I mean, their lineup isn't necessarily the Braves lineup, but I don't know. I felt like he was going to have a better year in Milwaukee than he has to this point.
As a full-time guy, too.
Yeah. I got one other guy I want to talk about. He is still minors eligible for our Champions League. But I mention him because, he plays in Colorado. Yeah, I know you love that, Burns. So, Nolan Jones, top 100 prospect for Colorado. He's first base and outfield eligible. He scored 24. No.
That's weird because I thought he was a third base prospect.
Well, he was. They moved him to the outfield, right? Like he.
Yeah, they did. With the Indians, he was a third base prospect.
Yeah. Well, so the reason I recommend him is I pay attention to I listen to the MLB Pipeline podcast. Love those guys, but they talk about the Arizona Fall League, right? And the guy that they continually talked about was Nolan Jones, right? And he lit up the Arizona Fall League. 41 at bats, 366, 2 home runs, 3 stolen bases.
That's why the Fall League's so fun to watch because it's always the prospects that have missed time or the higher end prospects that are on the cusps of making their major league debut.
Yeah, the Arizona Fall League is treated for some prospects like the finishing touches on promoting you to the MLB, right? This is like your last step before you're now a full-time major leaguer.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that because that's like a lot of great prospects have come through the Arizona Fall League and gone straight to the MLB afterwards and been successful, won Rookies of the Year. So I'm paying attention to Nolan Jones. I don't have a place to pick him up right now in my minors. Otherwise, I probably would. But he's in Coors Field. He's first base outfield eligible. So, yeah, pay attention to him.
He's got power.
If you're in dire need, then
potential.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Like you said,
So
in Colorado. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I mean, so right now, according to Baseball Reference, in Triple A this year, he's hitting 356 with 12 home runs
With a 7-11
and
slugging.
with a 711 slugging. Like, maybe I'll reconsider my Joey Weimer pick and pick up Nolan Jones. I don't know. He's in Colorado. Like, he's gonna score some points, right?
The ball's gonna float a
He
little
is
bit further
left-handed
for him.
though, so yeah. I
Good
don't
news,
know.
Wes.
I don't know if he's going to play every day against lefties, though. But go ahead, Tommy.
I was like, good news for you. You've got the 11th waiver pick. I've got 12th.
I know.
So you're safe if you want to go do that.
I literally just pulled that up, and I was like, I don't know.
That's why this?
I'm not going to recommend my next guy until tomorrow morning.
Oh, it won't air till tomorrow. You're safe saying it.
Yeah, but if I did, both of you would pick up. Both of you would put a waiver wire ad in.
Oh, I don't have room for anybody else. I've been making moves recently.
And with that, I think we will close out this episode 22, our prep for next week, week 11. I'm Michael. That's Tommy. That's BNB_Wes. You can find Tommy BNB_Lombard. These guys both are very active on Twitter. They like to play the analytical and statistical game. These two right here. So give them a follow and comment on what they're saying. They love the interaction. And we will catch you guys next. No, not next week. When's the next episode is going to be first base tiers.
Yep.
So if you listen to this, get ready. We're going to go back through the last 2 months and re-tier the first base position. Just like
rate us 5 stars. Give us 5 stars.
Go if you're on Spotify, Apple. Give us a rating. Just scroll up, click on the icon, click 5 stars. Give us a review, even if just 4 stars if you like. If you don't like Wes's face here or Wes's shirt, something, give us 4 stars and leave that comment. Okay.
If you're not into fishing, say it.
Yeah. If you think Wes smells like fish and that's why you didn't catch any fish earlier today, then let us know. And with that, I'm finally going to stop talking and close out this episode. I'm Michael. That's Tommy and Wes. Y'all have a good night.